Right, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining our panel today, especially the morning after the gala dinner. I heard a few people were out till 4 a.m., so not sure if they're here or not. But this is going to be a fascinating panel, possibly slightly terrifying, but it's a topic that is absolutely unavoidable. So people are genuinely terrified of AI. I've had a lot of conversations this week where they haven't come across terrified, but my insinuations are that they are, because they're telling me we're not interested in AI, or we're interested in it, but we don't really believe in it. It's too risky. We've been doing this for 20 years, 30 years, and it's worked. Why do we need to change? There seems to be some resistance. And beyond the conference, beyond this room, there's a lot of fear around AI. It's coming to our countries. It's taking our jobs. It's replacing us. So AI is basically the next immigrant, which of all the people in the world that this should not be a problem for, it's this room, because you will make it happen. So if I can leave you with one takeaway, in the same way you embrace immigration, immigrants, relocation, let's embrace AI. So let's get started. My name is Zan Ali. I'm the CEO of Centura Global. We are an AI-powered global immigration cross-border compliance platform. I'm going to be your moderator today, and I'm delighted to be joined by an absolute rock star panel. So I'm going to ask each of my panelists to briefly introduce themselves and share, just to get everything warmed up, just share one AI use case that they're loving at the moment. So, Kay, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I'm Kay Kut. I'm the CEO for Silk Relo. We're based in Asia, and I say Asia proper. We do destination services, visa migration, and our sister company does household goods throughout that region. I'm based in Singapore. My favorite, and I know I'm smiling at you, is my gadget that I have on the back of my phone is my AI use, is my Cloud device. And it is helping support me in terms of meeting notes, recordings, mind maps, and a number of other features.
Fantastic. Alan?
I'm Alan Ruth. I'm the CEO and CTO of Mobility Empowered. We're a US-based RMC with global operations. One of the things that I'm really enjoying personally is being able to get back into actual coding and architecture. AI is allowing me to not have to learn a lot of the technology. It's more of like an assistant for me, and so that's actually helping my own personal growth.
Beverly?
Hi everyone, I'm Beverly King. I'm VP of Client Partnerships at Altavita. I'm based in London. Altavita is a global corporate accommodation platform. So we're a startup, so technology and AI is at the very heart of what we do every day, but with people behind the scenes to support every employee's move and stay. My personal favorite AI tool at the moment was my beloved Christmas present from the company, which is a program called Lexi. It's basically a virtual meeting assistant. So Lexi pops up to my meetings, records the meeting, takes notes for me, suggests emails to send, which I then can recraft in my own tone of voice. But you can do a lot to train the tool to kind of craft it in your own format and preferred dialogue as well. But yeah, it's been a great tool for me to be more productive in my day-to-day.
Great. Okay, let's get started. So the title of this panel is AI won't replace humans, but humans using AI will. Now, in February of this year, the World Economic Forum released a report that stated that 82 million jobs will be wiped out by AI within the next 5 years. So by 2030, 82 million. But AI is not just a destroyer, it's also a creator, because the exact same report revealed that it will also create 97 million new jobs. So what does this mean? It means a lot of jobs will no longer exist in 5 years, if this report comes true. But a lot of new jobs will be created. But beyond that, there's obviously more than 97 million jobs in the world. So the majority of occupations, professions, will involve AI in some capacity. So whether we like it or not, whether you're choosing to embrace it or not, I'm afraid to say you're going to have to embrace it to some extent. So let's start with a poll, just to get the sentiment of the room. So we have got Slido. So if you could please join using the QR code. And the first question we have is, how confident are you in your understanding of how AI is currently used within global mobility? So this is specific to the industry. So once you're in, let's see what the results say. And I'll start by asking my panelists. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to ask the panelists, but you're all very confident, I assume.
Very confident. I mean, if you kind of think about it, most companies are going through pretty much a transition like we're kind of talking about, embracing AI in different ways. Each one of us have to embrace AI individually, right, in our own work day. And that's what I try to do, is try to encourage people to use it. There's people on my team that have no desire to use that. But if you kind of think about it, if those people aren't going to use that, those are the ones that are going to be the ones that are going to be left behind. And so for me, it's all about trying to find tools that can better them, empower them in their daily work.
Okay, so let's see, what are the results saying? Oh, nobody is actively avoiding it. Good start. Most people are somewhat confident, seeing examples. So I think it's a good gauge. I'm glad no one is avoiding it. But this first section, we've got around 4 sections to cover today. The first section, we're going to be talking about our panelists' experience of using AI within global mobility. So I'd like to start with UK. When we last spoke, you mentioned that you have at least 6 AI initiatives at Silk Relo, which is quite a transformation, I guess, for a company that's had a long standing. So could you tell us a little bit more about how you're using AI and the impact it's having?
And I wrote myself some notes through my device of what I was going to do, because I also am mindful there's so much going on in this space. And even an update that I had earlier this morning, I think I've got 3 more that have been added in that it was like, oh, okay, this is leading to that. So most of what we are doing at Silk Relo is focused very much internally. We're not, you could go to a website and have a chat bot and have experiences that it's a customer focus. We have chosen how can we be more productive, and for our team members, and every one of our team members, I'm very mindful, my life is very short. Every moment is important, and I want to use it with the greatest value, and I want our team members to have the greatest value in how they use their time. So one of the launches that we will have later this month is tied to WhatsApp and a business application, and with an AI bot, not the AI bot going out to our transferees or our clients, but as the chat comes in, and those chats are filed within our operating system, similar as emails are, it will give a prompt with a suggested response based on the data points within our operating system. And we have selected the data points that it could pull towards. And for GDPR and all of those other things, many data fields are in a secure space. But this prompt would then give you the option if our consultant wants to respond with a green thumbs up, or they can edit it. So this is a tool to support our consultants with the best-in-case response. We also want their voice to be authentic. We also have auto form filling, and I've got to think what this is, robotic process automation, which there's some programming and coding, but there is an AI element in that to help us with form filling and repetitive steps, so that they, again, I don't want folks to have to rekey things. So if I look at our visa migration and a passport comes in, similar to OCR coding, you can take those data points and put it into our operating system. When we're putting the applications together, it's able to pre-populate the applications, and we actually have migrated that into being able to have, in some of our locations, and I'll use the example, Singapore has the Ministry of Manpower. They're never going to allow us to have an API, but while we have our screen, they have their screen, being able to have our screen automatically populate their screen, right? So then, again, it's for our consultant and our human to be able to verify, validate, and prompt to support the submission. At no point am I looking at this with an eye or a focus of redundancies of my team members. I want to retain and grow every one of the team members, and I want to also ensure that their time is valuable, meaningful, and they choose to stay with us to grow with their careers. We have also chosen, when we're looking at these things, one of our offices in China, lunchtime, we bring in teachers and professors from the local universities to talk and train around all things AI and personal life, so that they can build a comfort as we're asking them to adopt and endorse using what we're doing from a company perspective. Because this isn't about a mandatory only work environment. This is a lifestyle change. Now, we talked about this earlier, I'm not a massive ChatGPT user. However, I could say I'm a massive endorser and embracer of that, because almost every one of our team members Most of our team members are not native English speakers. So a tool that they can use to help them in translation and understanding, crafting and drafting. I also ask that they do not just click send, that is in their authentic voice, because I know who that human being is behind it. And we want the customer experience to be led through that. We are also looking at embedding an AI tool to support them with that within our operating system. I can see Shubha, who's in the audience at the moment. She does our RFP responses, pricing. Number one question that we get, even if we have a contract, what is the rate and what is the scope of work? Shubha is honestly my robot in this audience of being able to click, see into the contracts, get it back. I want to support her that our system can scan across all of our contracts to provide her the response that she can select how she's going to respond. We're also integrating Microsoft Business Analytics and Business Information to be able to have embedded within our system reporting analytics. We do not want to put anything out in the public domain. We don't want our team members to go take a report, put it into ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me what's going on. We want us to be in a safe, secure, trusted environment of how we are using that. I could go on and on and on. And my next favorite, which literally was me seeing it this morning, we have apps, and I feel like I'm only living in the A alphabet, right? We have APIs, we've got apps, and we've got AI. And we do itineraries for our destination services. We have an app, we have the scraping of websites using AI technology to pick up the real estate, and the AI-driven itinerary, where we can say one day, and it pulls from all of our inventory and our own internal areas to craft the itinerary. Our consultants can think, oh, this is the best routing. It's using GPS, it's using our destination service guides, it's using the needs analysis from the transferee, it is using our data points from historical data from our operating system to craft the best routing that would be for that person. Let's say there was shopping in there, and you can say, not interested in shopping. It will change it. It can also be iterative while we're out in the field with the apps, that if the transferee said, I don't want to do this, the AI can support the change. So that time for me is I can monetize it of the importance of us being more productive and driving cost out of the business. I really look at it as the experience for our team members. And I get it that many of my team members are fearful. And we had a recent managers meeting. We're showing them some of, and actually it was 2 years ago where we showed, oh no, actually it was just right after COVID. We showed the ability to schedule the briefing call without them having to communicate back and forth. The calendar, it's quite simple. And one of them sat there and it was like a rolly chair, and she was like white-knuckled. And then she was silent, and I looked and was like, what's the matter? What's gonna happen to me? Where am I in this? So this is where we also need to have a lot of education and communication and authentic communication about their roles. And when I say their roles, every one of our team members, how they are so relevant and fitting into this. And while you can tell I'm quite impassioned about this, I love it. I have great curiosity. I recognize that many of our team members, their amygdala is firing off with fear. They're thinking, how's this going to change my world? This isn't comfortable for me. So what can I do in these tools to make it comfortable? So that's some of the things, so I'll pass it on.
I was going to say, I think that's the change management aspect of it. I mean, we've all rolled out new software in the company, right? And there's always those people that are very slow to adopt. Mm-hmm. They also worry about their job getting replaced. It's the same exact thing that we're doing here. It's just the fact that this is obviously a much more highly intelligent piece of technology that's coming in place. But those kind of emotions, those kind of innate fears that people have, that we all have in life, different stages, different reasons, that's what we're facing. And so I think, if you kind of think through it in your company, you've got to create a very supportive environment to do that, so that people can feel safe and be able to express themselves. But at the same time, you've got to, just like with other pieces of technology, you've got to find a way to have not just the carrot, but something else to help move them along.
Yeah, I think we're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, but the human element is key, and we're going to touch upon this more later, but it's kind of come out of the conversation. It's that reassurance, and we will go deeper into it. But Beverly, I guess you work for, Kay, you've demonstrated so many use cases of how you're bringing it into a traditional kind of business. Beverly, you work for a tech startup, started as a tech company.
Yeah.
So how are you using AI at Altavita?
Yeah, also in multiple ways. So front end and back end. The back end is probably, like you said, Kay, it's probably more developed right now. So from the customer success team, so those who are making the reservations, receiving the requests from our clients. We used to have our supervisors in each region receiving the requests and then allocating them to team members. Now AI is driving the allocation of those requests to the individual team members to make sure that someone is dealing with that instantly. So there's no time delay, but that's also freeing up time for our supervisors, our regional leaders, to spend time on more strategic things, which they were struggling to. So that's one use case. Secondary use cases with the development of our platform. So I came in 1 year ago and can honestly say that there's constant innovations, updates of the platform. And a lot of that is empowered by AI, where our developers, we have 15 in our company who are dedicated to the product, to the development of the product from a product and an engineering perspective. So those engineering team members are using AI to help drive the coding and the updating of the tool, of the platform. So we use a ring-fenced methodology to manage all of that, to train the AI tool. So there's some training involved, of course. But this also drives engagement for our tech team, so they can then spend time on the things that are a bit more fun for them. And then on the front end, we're currently working on a guest experience app. So we are looking at things like AI-powered destination information. So not to replace the destination agent, but when we are booking temporary accommodation, of course, people want to know what's around them when they're staying. So they can input, like you were saying earlier, I think, Kay, what are their interests? Is it dog walking? Is it restaurants? Is it shopping? And then they can get suggestions and nudges that are relevant to them based on their interests. We have been recently doing some design thinking sessions and talking more and more about AI and what people want. So we hear things like, based on what other people in the company have booked, these are good recommendations for you, or based on your parameters, these are your available options, but have you thought about these as a more wider set of options? Or, as I said before, something like the dog walking, these are good parks that could be available for you. It's all about, I think, making life easier rather than making it harder. And I think if intuitively, if the AI is making life harder, it's something we're not looking at or we're not going to endorse, but where we're making life easier for our clients or their employees or ourselves, then of course we're going to look at the options. So we're constantly looking and evaluating what's available out there.
Yeah. So I think that's an important point, the last one. So is it making life easier for you, your company, your clients? But one caveat I will say is it takes time to implement the AI, understand it, train it, get it working. So if it doesn't work the first time or it doesn't give you the answers you're looking for, it doesn't mean it's bad or it's not good. You need to put the time in to improve it. And I don't know if anyone's heard the phrase recently, vibe coding, but it's been a buzzword that's been going around for the last few weeks, month or so, where Microsoft have come out and said that 30% of all of their coding of all their products is now done by AI. Meta have said 50%. And there's an organization called Y Combinator that exists in the startup world, and effectively it's the Harvard of, if you want to launch a new tech business, a startup, you apply to Harvard. It's harder to get into Y Combinator than it is to get into Harvard. And apparently 95% of Y Combinator companies are using AI to code. So everyone's thinking, oh, I've got a great idea. I'm going to put it into AI and it's going to work. But it doesn't. It takes time to get there. If you're in that top percentage, if you're Microsoft, who also owns OpenAI and also has Copilot and their own AI, it's a different story. So don't think it's that easy. And at the same time, if it doesn't work straight away, just understand that it takes time. And I guess, Alan, from your perspective, you're very advanced in your use of AI in terms of AI agents as well. A lot of people may not know what an AI agent is. Do you mind kind of telling us more about your strategy and also agents?
Yeah, so the best way I can explain what an agent is I'm sure all you are familiar with what a Hollywood agent is, the movie star. And so that agent is there to basically be an assistant to do the scheduling, to get the contract and get a lot of things done so that the star can actually do their job, which is perform. So that's kind of really what IC agents are, is a way that is an assistant so that the star, which is our teams, can actually perform and actually serve our customers and be able to add value into the company. So for us, an AI agent, like what we're using this for, is to do a lot of automation for our supply chain. A lot of companies always talk about trying to do an integration with the company. Well, some companies can, some companies can't. And so thus, either they don't have technical resources or maybe the platform they're on doesn't support it. But the point is now with AI, we're able to do different things. Just be able to take the email in, send the contents through an AI to be able to read any of the attachments, determine what kind of attachment is, what's in the attachment, read the response out of the email, send that into an LLM, and then have it actually do sentiment, and also be able to try to determine what's actually being asked for in that email or on the document. So for us, then it's about being able to take that information, send it over actually to a kind of like a QA agent. And so that QA agent actually then, based off the training that you've done, actually just double checks that what it sees is actually matching up with what your expectations are. So maybe, I've seen this in marketing where you have you have an AI agent writing your marketing, and then it sends it off to a QA agent that is actually trained on the voice, your voice. So then it will get a certain level of confidence that what's been generated is actually matching your voice up to 90%. If it doesn't work, it then rewrites it and says it and sends it back to the first agent. So you can go through a cycle there. And then a human in the middle, it spits it out, and then you review it as a human, and then you can actually make the same determination and send that back through or allow it to be posted, right? So there's a lot of things that we use agents for. It's really a kind of a new area. It's a lot older than vibe coding, but it's relatively new. You look at a lot of the tools that are out there. That's where things are going, because if you think about all our team members, really what you're trying to do is create a constellation of tools around them that support them, so that then when they're actually doing the human aspect of work, which is the value, critical thinking, discernment, empathy, those type of things that you can get someone to write empathetically, but talking to them might not be the same thing. Now I say that, we're actually playing around with speech to speech, where you can actually have a person actually speaking conversationally with the AI, doing needs assessments and other types of things. So it's rather interesting, the field we're in. The challenge is staying up, because every day there's something new that comes out, right? So it's mind-numbing, the change, but it's what we all have to do. I mean, you have to embrace this and at least start using it, because if you don't, I'm a firm believer that if you're a laggard, if you understand the adoption curve, if you're a laggard in adopting AI in your own personal life, you are ripe for replacement. I mean, because there's going to be someone else that's using AI that's going to do your job better for you, do it quicker, do it more efficiently, and get better results. So you might as well jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think it's also interesting. I was in the session earlier, and one of the questions was, a show of hands, excuse me, is it generational or cultural? And I was sitting in the audience thinking, it all depends. I think it's curiosity. And I also think it's part of our amygdala in our brain, of our response. And is this a fearful thing? And are we triggered? Or are we curious to be leaning in and doing something? And every day of my life, there's two things that I recognize. I manage somebody's expectations every moment, so I don't manage their disappointment. Because once I have to manage your disappointment, I'm going to have a harder time with your expectations. And to be comfortable being uncomfortable every moment in my life. I don't know what I don't know, because I don't know I don't even know it. And with AI, I'll say changing some of the wiring in my brain to think how I'm going to say something or write something as that prompt. And I may work the way I've worked in the past, and I could be frustrated because I'm not getting the response that I'm expecting, or that somebody else tells me about that they're able to experience. And this is a change in our mindset. This is our choice. We choose this. Am I going to be adaptable and flexible? Am I going, not to be a sponge that I just suck everything up? And I recognized earlier this year and actually late last year, as I look to our team and I talk to you about having these, I'll say coaches, teachers that come in every lunch hour, free time, and getting us comfortable, that for many of our team members, you know, there's something, change blindness and what we focus on, right? If I said, everybody, let's focus on this glass bottle, I want to talk to you about the logo, you're going to all be directed to this and you're not going to see what else is going on in our world and around it. I also trained the team, and it's a really, I'll say, old school book, Stephen Covey's Speed of Trust. Because as you trust in something, time it's much easier to do the work, and it's a trust dividend, right? That if you're trusting in something, it's easy and it's less cost. When we don't trust something, it becomes much harder, and our financial quotient there would go down. And the joy in what we're doing also goes up when you trust in something. And we're all a little different. Do I have to see it to believe it, or do I have to believe it to see it? And then the other training that we did was about our amygdala hijack. And these were all focused not on competencies to train my team. These were to open our mind as human beings, to recognize how we are, because the transformational change that's occurring, like I say, maybe I'm the older person in the room, in my lifetime. You know, if I said to many of you, I was a telex operator, most of you in this room don't even know what a telex was.
I don't.
No. You know, moving to the fax was extraordinary. Then getting into, oh, we have email and internet. When I went to school, one of the things my parents thought would be good, I was a typist and I learned Pitman shorthand. Guess what? I have my digital pen everywhere I go because I still write in shorthand, but I want to be able to have it translated, and I use my digital book, and I come over to my AI device, and I could send you a mind map of what I've actually done. We all have our comforts. And what happens very often is we sit back in the chair and we get comfortable, and we don't embrace the discomfort of the change that's occurring because we're fearful. That amygdala part of our brain, and every one of us in this room has an amygdala because somewhere ancestrally you ran away from the saber-toothed tiger or the dinosaur or the other cavemen. And our amygdalas are being triggered far more in today's society of the technology and the pace and the waves that we have coming at us. And we need to understand what's going on in ourselves to be able to embrace the changes that are occurring. And I recognize if I don't have an interest and a curiosity, I can tell you, I don't watch much TV because I have more time spending looking at some of the AI tools or learning a new tool or a skill set as I'm applying things in my life. And it's how I'm going to choose to use my time as I go forward. I also have team members that are in the younger generation that this is the greatest fear, and their answer is no. I can't change that person. I can give them an empowering context to open their mind to something. They are the individual that would choose, are they going to embrace it, or are we going to keep it over here? And you know, the session is, if we aren't embracing it, those are the individuals that aren't getting on the train with us as we're embarking onto the next stations. I'm no longer using a telex, so that's good. I have embraced that change.
What is a telex?
What is a telex? It was everything. You know, if you had to have anything happened with a telex, and it was extraordinarily expensive.
Yeah.
I was going to add in that I've now got within my team, so kind of from the sales perspective, as we're growing, we had 80% growth last year. We are onboarding more clients, you know, continuously. So we have to make our time more efficient. So whether that's, you know, going out prospecting, onboarding and so on. But I actually have a team member now that's dedicated to the innovation from the sales side. So he is going out and testing new tools. I mean, he loves playing around with the tools. So and it's not his whole job, but it's one of the things that he has been brought in to do, is to look out and recommend things that are going to make all of our lives easier from a ongoing sales and onboarding perspective as well. So as you said, Kay, like testing the market, embracing it, it's his comfort zone. He can test, then he can help train us as well. But he's coming to me going, oh, I like this one, and I'm like, right, you know, go out and test these things. And we are really striving for simplicity and efficiency. And as a startup, if you're not embracing those things, as an organization, individuals are going to be burnt out. And I mean, we're all burnt out in this industry, right? So we need to find ways that we are channeling the efforts in the right direction so that we can spend the time on the more important and, I guess, meaningful moments and perspectives rather than the administration-heavy things that are just draining us.
Well, the whole theme is wellness for this conference. Yeah. And we're building in some tools, again, those moments. When I said to you about your amygdala, most of our day, even sitting in this room, we are breathing in the top part of our lungs. It actually triggers your amygdala to be ready to run because we aren't mindful always of doing the deep breathing. So we're not a technology company. I don't actually have anyone on my team member as team members that is in tech. We use a partner and other partners to help us be in this space. So one of the things I'd said okay, I chose to become an executive coach. I do lots of mindfulness things. For my well-being, I recognize I do guided meditation at night, a few minutes when I get up in the morning, and before any important Zoom or meeting. And I've said, let's build in those moments so that we can have breathing moments. Just a reminder, we might have a smart watch that's telling us, stand up, take so many steps. We get caught of 8 hours, whether you're home office or in an office, that we are so behind a device or in a hunched mode. What can we do to open up their life as the experience to be breathing and enjoying the work that they're doing versus the slave driver that we've got to get this work done in the 8 hours. So I think there's also an element that we need to use AI to help.
No, for sure. I mean, I wasn't planning on saying this, but last year I experienced burnout medically. I had high blood pressure. I was working 80 hours. I have a 2-year-old daughter. So trying to manage running a business, growing tech, AI, sales, marketing, looking after a young daughter, no sleep. It was intense. And I am pretty obsessed with AI, so I've tried thousands of tools. I use everything. And I just thought, this is just one use case that helped me. But I have managed to completely reorganize my whole work week. And I've tried to include time to get out, get steps in, walk, go to the gym. I hadn't been to the gym since before my daughter was born. I've done no exercise because I didn't have time. But AI, because I didn't want to lose efficiency. When you're growing a business, we're also a tech startup, you don't have time, you can't afford it. Like speed is key. So AI has enabled me to be even more, I was pretty efficient before, it's enabled me to be even more efficient so I can use that time for my own mental well-being. So I think what we're trying to say is, in the previous poll, everyone is kind of testing AI. And to Alan's point earlier, it's moving so fast. We as a tech company, we have a product team, we have developers, we have a product roadmap. We change our roadmap every 2 weeks because there's so many new developments. And to Kay's point, your amygdala may be flaring up thinking, how do we keep up? Don't worry about that. Don't stress about it. Just try and learn as much as you can. Because something else that we as humans tend to do is, doesn't matter what age you are, oh, I'm too old for that. Oh, I should have done that last year. There's a saying, the best time to start is today. So it doesn't matter if you think you're already late or not. Embrace it and do it today. And on this point, there was a recent report by MIT, which I think it was only a few weeks ago, and they interviewed hundreds of executives across a mixture of Fortune 500 companies as well as SMEs. And what they found is 95% of all companies have adopted AI within the organization. However, 76% of those are only using it for 3 or less use cases, most of which are pretty basic use cases, and they can't really report any productivity gains. So you could interpret that and say, oh, what's the point? There's no more productivity, it's not being used properly. But then MIT went deeper. They spoke to senior executives at JP Morgan and a few other big companies, and what they found is, it is this whole topic that we're discussing. It's moving too fast. AI is moving so fast that companies, teams, individuals just do not know how to use it, and they're struggling. So I think one reassurance is everyone's facing this. The key is take a step back and try and understand how can we use it, how can we be efficient, put the time into learning about it. And sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and also speak to other people, get recommendations, see what other people are using and how they're using the tools to make their work more efficient. Because, word of mouth. I mean, I started to use Lexi as a AI meeting assistant because another partner of ours was using it. And I was like, this is neat. I did a trial and I was like, this is really, really good. And then we rolled it out to a wider group. So, I think like having recommendations from others really helps.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you think through it, some practical ways to kind of embrace it. If you go into your ChatGPT or Grok or Anthropic, which is Claude, you go into any one of those AI tools and start a new conversation and ask the question, where am I located? And what it'll show you in the response, it'll come back and tell you that it doesn't have the context to be aware of where you are. It'll ask, certain ones it'll ask, have you mentioned this in another conversation? Should I refer to that, et cetera? Then your next step, load up a picture of yourself in a setting and ask it, do you know where I am now? Does this help? And then what it'll do is it'll use vision to actually start looking behind you and where you're at, what you're dressed like, et cetera. And it will still then again not understand truly where you are. It'll make a guess, right? So then I asked, or you can ask a question saying like, can you tell my background or my lineage from where I am? And it'll make certain judgment calls, but it'll keep it very high level because it's keeping bias out of AI and et cetera. But my point in this is, if you think about AI and prompt engineering, as you go through your daily job, if you think that you're going to put in a single sentence and have AI actually generate exactly what you need, it's ridiculous. Even the vibe coding aspect, you have to give it enough information so that it actually knows what to do. So think about it in this manner. If you had a new hire join your company today and they were supposed to do your job, how would they know how to do your job? Right? You have to tell them the steps that they have to go through. There's a lot of assumptions that you're making in your job every day that the AI has no clue about because it hasn't been trained on that. So as each one of us look at going and starting to embracing AI like we're talking about, you need to take the baby steps, right? And if you are trying to understand what prompt engineering is, it's just basically trying to write something in an instruction set in just natural language so that the AI can then produce or do a task. And the thing is again, it's all about input from that. And again, it's truly about thinking about, I have the blessing of working with my daughter every day, and I'm trying to teach her everything about the company. And I'm living this every day. She's not AI, obviously, but the point is I'm having to teach her, and she's asking questions back, which actually helped me in this whole context of prompt engineering. And if you ever get stuck where you're reading, like you mentioned earlier, where you're reading a response back from AI and it's not exactly matching up, just stop and don't try to bang away at it. Just say, here is what I was expecting. What could I have done differently or wrote differently in the prompt that would have helped you understand what I was actually asking for? And the AI will actually then go and give you back exactly what you could have said to help it achieve the task that you actually set forth. So if you kind of think through it, you have to look at it as truly an assistant, almost a, that best friend, or in some cases that priest that's behind the door, and be able to actually talk in a way to actually learn from it, but also use the intelligence of the AI to actually help along the way. Don't just assume it's going to know, and number two, be willing to learn by asking it to teach you as well.
Also trust it, but verify, right? So when I said about the Stephen Covey's trust dividend, trust tax, the other element is a 4-box, and it's okay if you're up in the upper box and it's gullible trust. In a working relationship, if somebody's saying I'm going to do this or I'm going to not pay you or whatever it is, just trusting implicitly without any validation, that's not where we are as human beings. It's really having a balance of that trust. And similar in the AI space, right? When you may get some information back, and I'm going to use an example, and this is from one of our moving services country managers, and they're in a younger age profile, and I was asking them before the session, tell me what you think about AI. Hate it. Why? And it was because of an experience where one of their shippers is a PhD professor at a wonderful institution. She is moving from one location to the other. She'd gone on ChatGPT to check about her shipment and what she was allowed to take. So she's talking with our manager who knows the laws and would go out to our trading partner, and all of them are saying, you cannot put those items in your shipment, it will be seized. And she is adamant, it will not. And I actually asked, did you win the booking? And it was no, we're actually very happy we didn't, because if If she has this mindset and she's going to put those items in because ChatGPT told her, now ChatGPT is going to pull what information is in there. If there was information that was incorrect, it's still going to pull information that's incorrect. So I also remind all of you, it's not, again, that's not about the prompt. It was about something that the information came, and it's trust and verify that.
You know, I was going to say hallucinations. Everybody understands if you put something into AI and it comes back and gives you something crazy, incorrect, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's similar if you kind of think through it. It's as if you are watching a movie that is based on a true story. Doesn't mean it's a true story, right? So you have to kind of think through it in that manner. And usually what I'll do in those situations is I'll actually use each agent or AI against each other. So I'll maybe start here. I'll take what it's giving me and I'll ask, let's say, Grok to verify. And if you go through the different AI agents, you'll recognize the ones that will actually provide the sources behind the information that it's giving you so that you can actually go and click on it, go read the article that it was based upon. And that brings up a whole other point. If you think through it, SEO, I mean, this is still very valid right now, but the point is now we're writing for content so AI can consume it. So everything is kind of changing now, even in, just marketing and messaging. It's quite unique.
I was going to say the same because, so I've used ChatGPT a fair bit, and I know we spoke about this earlier as a hesitant adopter, but I've now embraced more and more, again, finding my right rhythm to use it to help me produce kind of industry oversights or kind of prepare plans for events and even LinkedIn postings. Again, then rewriting in your own tone of voice. But the difference with ChatGPT, as you said, is it's good from a writing perspective, from a content perspective, but it's not giving the sources. Whereas Perplexity, as I discovered just last week, is giving you sources. So that's giving you the verified information of where that's coming from. So in the scenario that you mentioned, Kay, you could then look at the sources and say, well, okay, that's not a verified source. It's something old. It's outdated. It's not a government source. So that is where you can then test that trust. And I think that's the difference. It's just learning to use those different tools for different methods.
You've led us to our next poll. So what is your biggest concern when it comes to using AI and relocation services? Because trust is critical. I will just say ChatGPT does now have sources, actually. And it has a deep research function. But to Alan's point as well around prompting, so for those of you who may not know what prompting is, it's the instructions you give to the AI. There's a little hack, actually. I sometimes ask it, I don't even give it the instruction and then tell me how to improve it. I say, this is the outcome I'm looking for. How should I ask you to do this task, basically? So you tell it to explain to you what the prompt should be in the first place. And it works surprisingly well. It gives you really as long as you put in the detail of your outcome and you're really specific, it's actually quite helpful. So that's a little hack to get you there even quicker if you're struggling. You can also create projects within ChatGPT now. So you can have specific categories, and within each category, you can set instructions, which means you don't have to put context in every time you ask a question in the future. So nothing to do with work, but I have a nutritionist within ChatGPT. So I've told it what my goals are in terms of what I want to eat, how I want to be healthy, calories I want to take, protein, etc. And then if I'm out and I'm not cooking and I'm at a restaurant, just take a picture of the menu, what should I eat? And it tells me or I tell it what I've eaten today so far, what should I eat from the menu, and it tells me. So in case you want to eat better and you don't want to stress about those things, it can do it for you. But yeah, anyway, so what's your biggest concern? Data privacy. Yep, not surprised by that one being number one at all. So anyone on the panel want to talk about data privacy and how we can get around that?
My hand goes like this because I think this is also that mindfulness. And, you can ChatGPT, just as the example. You're in a public domain. Am I going to take our financials or personal information and choose to put it in there? No, not everybody realizes that, right, of the exposure. When I was saying about us using some Microsoft platforms about business analytics, we're doing that within a safe space of our own environment, and we're not going out to the public domain. And being mindful, whether we think of like our own passport or our own credit card or driver's license, how do we want to keep it and protect it? And what are we doing when we're looking at AI? So I know it was 2 years ago, I think, when I was seeing a demo of what we were training in that space of what we'd been asking for. And my first thing was, okay, we can't have, if we're going to be using business WhatsApp and we're going to be able to have, and I've seen our application, I can do voice prompt to it of saying, what's my visa renewal date, or what's the status of my visa? Within 30 seconds, it comes back and it says your visa expires this day, the application is due this day, and where we are in the status. Within the minute, what's my status for my wife? Our third question was, what's the status of our dog's visa? And it was, I think we have a misunderstanding, that's a different government department. But the concern that I had immediately was, okay, we've got passport information, we've got dates of birth, we've got children information, are they going to have everything? And we have, while we have a data set, we've actually hived off, and we can say it's secure, it's anonymized over here. These are the key fields that we're going to allow, which are those renewal dates. It's nothing that really they can't know. The identifier back to WhatsApp is an individual's mobile phone number, so they're not needing to key in anything else. So we're keeping it in a secure environment as best as we can. There's always bad actors that are out there in that mindfulness of, okay, what's changing, how it's changing, and doing everything in our power to be as current as we can. So absolutely, that's in that space. And I think we need to have the mindfulness as well. How are we using our mobile devices, our laptops, and whatever interfaces we may have, and the information that we are choosing to put into a space. And when I said I'm not a massive ChatGPT user, I'm mindful of, okay, I'm using it for certain things, but I'm not using it, like I hear others that are saying, oh, we're putting our reports in and getting all, and I'm like, what reports? Like for the team, our team is like, no, we don't go into that space. So it's our choice of how we're going to use it, where we're going to use it. Trust, there are certain applications that I'm going to say I don't trust, right? And I could also be a massive skeptic, but I trust
Sorry,
nothing.
Kate, how do you decide which ones you trust and don't? This is for anyone, because DeepSeek came out
Yes.
several months ago, and everybody was like, oh, it's Chinese, we can't trust it, it's going to take all our data. How do you know what OpenAI are doing, or Google? I mean, ChatGPT just released a Google integration, so if anybody uses Google Suite, you can now connect it to ChatGPT, but should you? Do you trust what it's going to do with the data? I mean, how do you decide and determine?
So, you know, in OpenAI, or what runs ChatGPT, they have different licensing
Yes.
agreements as well. So you can actually, at certain levels, actually opt out of any information being used and to be able to train against. That's you know, essentially how we do it from a code perspective, right? Because that's our proprietary IP. We don't want AI to be able to train against that. You know, I'm sure it'd be great to be able to put it out in the open web, but no. Point is that there's different ways to go around it. You can actually get, there's a French company, Mistral, that is out of Paris that has a very good open source AI that you can run. You can actually get your own, run it on your own hardware inside. And point is there's a lot of different tools, different ways to go about this. Now, obviously, if you have an AI, your AI does not have the context of, let's say, a relocation. So you're going to have to use what they call is like retrieval augmented generation, to where you can call out to a tool like going into your database, grabbing the information, and then throw that into the LLM or to like a ChatGPT through like an API, and it can then crunch on that. But again, it's very critical that you obviously remove out any of your PII. You have obviously the GDPR stuff. Then now you have the EU AI Act that everybody's having to really follow as well. So there's a lot of compliance needs, but at the same time, just like with most technology, there's always a way to solve it. You just have to be smart enough and good enough to figure that out.
Yeah, I'm just conscious of time, so we are going to open up to Q&A from the audience. So there's going to be a roving mic if anyone's got any burning questions. But before we do, just wanted to say, so part of the discussion we've had is about let's adopt AI. And the conclusion is it's not necessarily going to take your jobs. You just need to adopt an AI-first mindset. And I want to do a bit of maths here. So worst case scenario, AI is improving by 1% every single day. So within 2 years, how much do you think AI will improve? So 2 years is 730 days, 1% per day. And it's not improving linearly, it's compounding day by day. So in 2 years' time, AI will be at least 38 times more powerful than it is today. So the question I have for all of you is, are you going to be 38 times more prepared in 2 years' time? So today is the time to start. So on that note, also, as Beverly said, talk to people. If you're struggling, you want to understand more. This entire panel, all three of them have got amazing knowledge. I also run workshops on AI, so feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn, email, if you want to learn more. But I'll open the floor to any questions. Oh.
There's one over there. Oh, there's.
Well, first I just want to say 2 p.m. today. Come watch myself and my fellow Igniters crush it on stage. But actually, Kay, I think you were in this meeting with us, I was like pre-COVID, one of the RMCs had a session, and they gave us the task of use technology, build the dream program, money's not an object. So my question for the panel, because that's always the barrier with AI, costs money and like what can you do? I'm going to give you a big bucket of money. No, like money's not an object. What are we going to use AI for to transform the industry?
For the industry.
Yeah, to do something, there's always that's the hurdle, is money, right?
Actually, I was thinking it's more for humanity. And I can say to you of everything that I've had lots of things happen in my life, and I can say to you, I've had multiple times that I really shouldn't be still on this planet. Every second of my life is so valuable and so important to me. And while I talk about what we do from an industry's perspective, because I'm sitting here in a relocation outfit in my company colors, actually at everything I do in the heart of this is making a human being's life better. And honestly, if I could say to every one of you, let's take whatever amount of money that we are investing in our APIs, apps, tech, AI, whatever alphabet, if we actually pulled together as an industry and gave up some of the competitive, I'm going to keep my secret. Do you know how many children we could give fresh water to that would have shots that don't have, immunizations, that have food insecurity, or the inhumanity of humanity with wars and the crisis that we have? So I actually sit here while I can say, what would we do to make the industry better? Everything that I'm doing in an industry incremental, and I've asked our tech partner, I've asked our own shareholders to do things as an investment for the future of our humanity, not only our business. And I'm really committed to that. And so when I look at sustainability, and I didn't talk about what we're doing in the AI space, an app is being generated that, again, it's a tool that is there. There may be a money and monetary piece. It's not me selling the app. Because and I'll say a shout out for FIDI, for Eura, and the coalition, and there's a carbon calculator that FIDI and Eura are looking to launch. We're part of that pilot group. And I looked to our tech company and I said, oh my God, I feel like I'm a scientist and I really didn't do well in science in school. What can we do? And he's generated an app to help support us with AI driven behind, while we have EcoVadis that we've submitted and some other tools, is to help us simplify the sustainability of things as we answer the questions, for AI to help us identify where we're not doing a great job or don't know something, to provide us with tools and or other things that others have done so that we can actually embed that. That is being integrated with our operating system. So when we set up the itinerary and we say we're going out in a vehicle, I don't have to capture what the carbon calculation is of this vehicle versus that, because that's behind it, so that we can actually report, and I don't have to waste any time, my team don't have to waste time. So as a tool, as an example for that, if we broke down the walls of what we're doing and much of what we're doing, and we can all sit here and go, I want to be competitively advantaged. I actually want to break down every one of those walls to keep our industry relevant for every partner that's in the room to be able to have an opportunity to thrive and survive, that may not have the intellectual property, the financial resources, or the time to develop, design, or think about these things, that they can actually be part of our ecosystem, whether it's through Eura, FIDI, ERC, or whatever coalitions. So I'll say thanks for the question. Money is a massive challenge in this because we've got some that can invest and some that can't. And I'm going to say, what's your thoughts?
I'm going to take a little bit different. You'll know that I'm the American on the stage now. Obviously, I would rebuild everything that I built 8 years ago. I'd do it AI first, and I would honestly try to outcompete everybody in this room. That's what I'd do.
Beverly, anything?
I haven't got a better answer than that.
Good answer.
I mean, what I would say is, if you think about this room, everyone's offering services, right, predominantly. And historically, why do people pay for these sorts of services? Well, what do you need to kind of get that output? One, you need knowledge. Two, you need skill. And 3, you need money, so you mentioned capital. Now, AI, what it's doing is, it is providing everyone with knowledge at their fingertips at rapid speed. It's democratizing access, so you actually don't need to spend loads of money to do it. So the last piece is skill. So someone at home could say, I'm going to use ChatGPT instead of speaking to an immigration advisor. Is it accurate? Maybe, maybe not. They're going to say, I don't need to spend money on those fees, but it's the skill that comes in. So I think everyone in this room should be thinking about how do we leverage AI to enhance the knowledge that we provide to our clients and or services, and that efficiency and that skill is what will allow us to charge more and make us even better in the industry. So you can think about it from a competition perspective, but you could also think about it just from an internal perspective. How can we deliver the best for our clients in the current climate? And AI is disrupting, so it's the skill where you're going to stand out.
Zana, I would just say one more thing. So I said already that at the beginning, if it's making life harder, you have to do lots of training. That's not going to be the advantage. So you just have to balance out the cost advantage, the business case for bringing something in as a tool or as a new process. And you said like loads of money. I mean, again, it's not about the amount of money. It's just, is there a cost benefit? And is it also going to make the engagement for your people better, and the experience for your assignees, your clients? And thirdly, for your clients, help increase the speed and also decrease the cost. So I think that's the thing you have to think about, is just creating that business case of like, what are the things that are actually going to make an impact?
Great. Any other questions? Yep.
Hello. I did attend a HR event very recently in Riyadh, and there was discussions around AI and how metaverse has taken over. So, there is this metaverse virtual world where everybody has an avatar. There is dress code policies. HR gets to go and see mining fields, all these possibilities with AI. So do you think at any point, relocation can transform where we would not really have our field consultants, but have a virtual world where orientation, home search, school search, everything are done in the virtual world, and technically, employees can go and see everything for themselves in this virtual world?
It's already here.
Short answers. We've got 2 more questions to come.
So I would say it's already, you have the ability, and I can just say, just close your eyes on the Uber-esque, right? Of having this ability to have the itinerary, and we have options. You want to be a full service or you want to be a self-service. So if you have that data set and the properties and itinerary, they can go do it themselves. Is that the service that we actually aspire to? It's a totally different model. It's a different price point. It's a different service model. There is a community that wants that. So I would say we're not far off of that, but that doesn't mean we don't have a model and services that is a fully consultant-driven. The customer experience, this is no longer about customer service. And there's a really big difference in that, and the experiential element that a human being needs, wants, and aspires to. Most of us, as we were growing up as children, what do we want? We want to be safe, we want to feel loved, we want to be seen, and we want to be heard. What does a transferee want? It's not much different.
I think there's 2 more questions. I think.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Solu with Jacob Street. So I'd love to hear what AI tools you're using and what you're using them for.
Beverly Allen, you want to take that?
So I guess, as I said, Lex is my meeting assistant. We're using Perplexity, ChatGPT from a sales perspective. And then internally, we've got our tools that are, and I don't know their names, sorry, but they're internal tools to assign the case files, so the individual bookings to our team members. And then also we have a ring-fenced coding. Again, it's not using an external one, it's an internal one. So a number of things, to be honest, Elizabeth, but evolving all the time. New things are being suggested all of the time. So it's continuous testing, sense checking, creating that business case, and weighing up the cost versus the benefit.
Yeah, I'd say for the LLMs that do a ChatGPT like O3's version, Anthropic is the 3.7, and then Grok. I think Grok is an amazing, it just came out of beta. Otherwise, we're doing using OpenAI's real-time API, which is all speech-to-speech. We're using OpenAI to also train our own AI models against that, and then using tools like N8N to create agents. So if you go do that, there's a lot of YouTube videos you can do, and it'll actually walk you through how to set it up. There's tons of triggers, tons of integration. It's a no-code type of tool, so all of us in the room can just go and pull things together, and it should work. And then Cursor. All my developers use Cursor AI for this development environment.
That's what we're using as well.
I think my favorite is Fixer, Fyxer. What that does is it organizes your inbox, so you can tell it what kind of categories you want. Tell me emails I need to respond to. Tell me emails related to meetings, marketing emails, newsletters. So when you go into your inbox, it's clean. There's not, I've got 1,000 emails because I've been at Euro for a few days. And then you can just click in the marketing folder. Oh, there's all the newsletters. I'll look at them later or delete them. Some of them are interesting, some aren't, or whatever. So with that, it also drafts your responses. And the first time you download it, the responses are pretty rubbish and they sound like AI, and then you correct them, and the more you use it, it starts to just sound exactly like you. It uses the same terminology, and I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, that's literally the perfect response, send. Other times I need to change it, and it gives you options. So somebody asks you a question, and there could be 2 answers. It says option 1, option 2. I made a mistake because I downloaded this. We were arranging this panel, and we were trying to agree a time to speak. And I did it on my phone, not on my laptop, and I sent Alan an email with both options. One would say, yeah, I can speak at this time, and option 2 said, no, I can't. So don't make that mistake. But it's a great tool. We are way over time. Do we?
One final question.
One final question?
And I promise I'll be short. Very quickly, how can industry associations like Euro, like FIDI, like all the others that are sitting in the room, how can we help our members make sense of this?
I think case studies of what other companies have done, the tools they're using, maybe listing out the tools that are being used. And again, it's changing and evolving all the time, but maybe like a kind of a library or a list, recommendations, endorsements, contacts of who's used what, so that then you can go and ask them for their opinion and their advice and how you train them to use the tools. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I agree. Education. I think you got to pull everybody together and have everyone share.
Keep the conversation alive.
Yeah, conversations, workshops, education. Okay, great. On that note, thank you very much for attending. Thank you to our wonderful panelists for an amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you.